President Chan, I can't tell you how fascinated I am about the convergence that you bring between Taoism and the aspect of artificial intelligence. I'm honored to be in the presence of Dr. Raj Reddy, a doyen in the sphere of artificial intelligence. Absolutely an honor. And Dean Shao, the beautiful, charismatic dean in ECNU, one who combines the best of the mind and the abilities to transform. And I watched her in action as the new dean just a few months ago on the way she's moving the academic agenda in ECNU forward. So I feel very proud to call myself a Princetonian as well. So the topic of my discussion today is the Tao of breathing. And you'd be wondering, what has breathing got to do with AI? Well, as per Laozi, he said, a perfect man breathes, Wuxi, as if he or she doesn't breathe at all. But the power of the breath is immense. I will play a short video now to demonstrate to you that at a temperature of minus 16 degrees centigrade in Beijing, how through the sheer power of the breath, I'm able to control my physical, mental, and spiritual dimensions. I started this journey 4 years ago when I was in absolutely bad health. I had all the worst indicators when it came to non-communicable diseases, which included high blood pressure, hypertension, high cholesterol, pre-diabetic, and obesity. Not only have I reversed it, but what I've also managed to do is keep myself free of disease. And when you keep yourself free of disease, your mind works well. And then you can go into any amount of research and scholarship in the space of artificial intelligence and anything else that you wish to do in the world. So this video was shot by 2 Chinese documentary filmmakers. It's a 4.5-minute video. And it will just give you an understanding about the journey I undertook 4 years ago, and to also show you that the human spirit is indomitable. Can we play the video, please?
Breathe. This ancient Sanskrit symbol is a beautiful reminder to what comes naturally. It's the first thing we do when we come into this world, and the last thing we do when we leave it. Breathing. Remember, the art of deep breathing is your secret superpower. It's like a magical elixir that can soothe inner fires of inflammation, melt away stress, spark a bonfire of mental clarity, usher in a sunrise of brighter moods, forge a shield for your immune defenses, and stoke the furnace of your metabolism. So inhale the joy, exhale the woes, and let that smile shine. Abdominal churning provides a vigorous massage to the organs in the abdomen, stomach, intestine, liver, spleen, and the pancreas. It stimulates the digestive fire. It eliminates constipation, considerably accelerates gaseous exchanges because of the retention on empty lungs, stimulates the heart and the blood circulation, and stimulates brain irrigation. The headstand, also called the king of all yoga asanas. It calms the mind, alleviates stress and depression, activates the pituitary and the pineal glands, stimulates the lymphatic system, strengthens the upper body, the spine and the core, enhances lung capacity, stimulates and strengthens the abdominal organs, and boosts digestion. The Greek philosopher Herophilus in 260 BC said, "When health is absent, wisdom cannot reveal itself, art cannot manifest, strength cannot fight, wealth becomes useless, and intelligence cannot be applied." In March 2020, I was close to obesity with 85 kilos. I had high cholesterol, I had hypertension, I was pre-diabetic, I had a very high resting heart rate. With this practice of breathing, high-intensity interval training, fasting, and cold exposure, over the last 4 years, I have lost 25 kilos. My blood pressure is now at around 110/70. My resting heart rate drops to 40 beats per minute at night. I have gradually achieved mental, emotional, and physical equilibrium, and always a sense of well-being and wellness.
So this is just a reflection of the human capability and the human capacity. And the vitality of the breath into the way we think. For example, in the last 4 years, I have had zero stress. 4 years before that, you have to ask my wife, my son, my colleagues in the United Nations when I was in Kenya and many other countries in the world, working in Somalia, working in some of the most difficult parts of the world. So much of stress, and we build up chronic stress over time. We have episodic events in our lives. We suffer from traumas, childhood traumas, which don't reveal itself. And what we found is, this is in Chinese tradition, it's in Indian tradition. And when I used to look at these people doing breath work, I used to think, oh, crazy people, everybody is breathing. We already are doing 30, 40,000 breaths a day. Why do we need to do more of it? When you learn to manipulate your breath, you learn to manipulate your brain. Once you manipulate your brain, you start to overcome many of the challenges which the brain is fixated with. Our habit of sitting, our habit of eating, our habit of just taking life easy, the brain likes a relaxed way of life. But once you get control of it, for example, for the last 4 years, I only eat 1 meal a day. People, oh, don't you feel hungry? Of course I feel hungry. But I override that instruction from my brain. I stopped eating sugar 4 years ago. Sugar is poison, ladies and gentlemen. Poison. And we will have bubble tea, we will have all kinds of sweets, and therefore levels of diabetes and hypertension, everything is going up. But the power of the breath gives you that ability to control. But also the power of the breath frees your mind of all the stresses and tensions that you have. And stress makes you unproductive. And most of the stress comes from a fear of the unknown. Once you learn to overcome that unknown, that power lies precisely in your breath. So essentially, the brain has two parts. It is called the autonomic nervous system. Within the autonomic nervous system, you have the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is our fight or flight response. Now, let's say the door opens and a wild dog comes running in. We will all have different responses. Someone will run, someone will stand there, and someone will decide to fight that wild dog. That's when our body goes into a stress response. So our body secretes adrenaline and endorphins to get the body primed to respond to a particular external stimuli. But once that threat is over, and you say, you've had a fight with your spouse, the fight is over, you go into what is called a parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest system. Now, through the breath, you learn to manipulate the sympathetic to the parasympathetic. So now, at will, I'm able to call on endorphins in my body. I'm able to call on adrenaline in my body. Now, many of you, when you bite that piece of chocolate or you have that sip of bubble tea, your brain gives you a little bit of dopamine. But that dopamine effect lasts for 2 to 3 minutes, and you feel that sense of great pleasure, and therefore this addiction to sweets come. I get the same dopamine effect through my morning exercises of breath work, high-intensity interval training, and having a cold bath every day, in ice-cold water every day for 5 minutes. And what that does is it gives me a dopamine release for up to 16 hours. So you're constantly in the state of well-being. You're constantly feeling happy and not feeling lethargic. And best of all, the doctors in Beijing have been carrying out tests on me for the last 2 years. Extensive tests. And I did not get COVID. I've not had a flu. I don't even get a cough. Prior to that, every year I used to fall sick with a flu, with a virus, or something or the other. And essentially what they found is that my body's immune system is always at a ramped up high. And because I'm a nasal breather, that means, just remember, 70% of the world breathes through the mouth. And there were 3 American doctors who got the Nobel Prize in 1998 for the discovery of nitric oxide. How many of you know nitric oxide? NO. Nitric oxide is a vasodilator. It's a signaling molecule for our cardiovascular system. And what that does, it provides that immunity. It's the pharmacy in your body, which the traditional Taoists in China already knew. They knew there is something in their body which is protecting them against disease. They may not have been able to identify what that chemical is, but that chemical is right within us. So your medicines of high blood pressure is nitric oxide. Now, what are you doing is learning how to unlock that nitric oxide into your body. The moment a virus comes in contact, goes through the nose, the nitric oxide kills it on the spot. But if you breathe in through the mouth, you have no defenses. So essentially, remember one thing. This video will be available to you at any time, so I will ask Dean Shao to share it with you. Remember, the nose is for breathing, and the mouth is for eating. And those of you who are unaware that you're breathing through the mouth, make a conscious effort to breathe through your nose. You go into a state of stress, breathe through your nose. And the right breath, follow me now. We will all breathe 5 times, and the breath will be into our stomach. So we will breathe in. Relax. Keep breathing, keep smiling. Thank you.